Hi everybody, welcome back to On the Love of Leadership. I am TDP. Listen, I'm out biking again. I thought I'd do this vlog style because it is the May long weekend here in Canada and my mom's coming over this weekend, so doing a produced video is just not in the cards. So here I are. So on my bike ride tonight, I was kind of thinking about something that always plagued me as I was growing up and as I was developing as a professional, and I wanted to share with you some thoughts around the notion of, am I good enough? Are they going to see I'm a fake? Imposter syndrome. Yeah, so the reason why I want to talk about this today is because it's something that always plagued me when I started something new, and I know that a lot of people struggle with imposter syndrome. I am by no means a, mental health specialist or practitioner who can speak to imposter syndrome from a pathological perspective, but I just know from my own personal experience what it means to feel like you're not good enough to be able to do what you want to do, right? Has there ever been a time when you thought, oh geez, I don't think I'm good enough to do this? Or you're about to start something brand new. Maybe it's a new business, maybe it's a new job, maybe it's a new position within your company, and you think, holy cow, what if they figure out I'm a fake? What if they figure out I'm really not that well suited for this job? What if they figure out I'm just not that qualified? Well, I want you to challenge that thinking for a second, because there's a couple of things. One is imposter syndrome is entirely based on fear. It's based on fear of failure, fear of not being good enough, fear of letting somebody down. And I know for me, fear of failure, fear of not being perfect enough is something that I have personally struggled and professionally struggled with my entire life. One of the things I really like to focus on for myself is when I'm struggling with this notion of imposter syndrome is to try to look at it for what it is, which is fear. And what's really funny about fear is that they say the best thing to do with fear is to face it. And that's probably the scariest thing to do, is to face your fear, which is really ironic. But truly, I think the best thing to do actually is to try to reframe your fear. So again, not a mental health specialist by any stretch of the imagination here, just a registered nurse, so don't take this as medical advice. But if you're really struggling with imposter syndrome, I think there's a few things you need to look at. You need to ask yourself, why is this change, this opportunity, this job, this whatever it is, fill in the blanks here, scaring the crap out of me so much that I think people are going to think I'm a fake? You need to get to the root of that, because if you can get to the root of that, then you can get to the solution. So for me, for example, starting my coaching business, a lot of my imposter syndrome at the very beginning of this process was rooted in the fear of, do I have the skill sets to do this work? Will I be of service to the level that I want to be of service for my clients? Am I going to be able to really help people effect change in their lives? If I look deep down to the root of that fear, it was because I thought I didn't have the skill sets. So what did I do about it? Well, I started taking courses. I started talking to coaches about what it meant to be a coach. And so I thought, okay, all right, you know what? I'm kind of already doing that, but in more of a mentorship perspective, not so much as a coach, but as a mentor. And I already have the skills in terms of communication, in terms of learning how to listen, giving people space, paraphrasing, trying to understand. My action research training from my Royal Roads University experience in grad school really helped define sort of using action research to go where the story goes and to, really just let your heart lead instead of your head lead when you're doing these kinds of sessions. And I thought, I can do this. So I think the reality is when you start anything new, is you have to start really getting to the root of why you're feeling that way. And if you can get to the root of why you're feeling that way, then you can certainly find the solution around it. Okay, so you figured out what's causing the fear. You're afraid because you don't think you have the skills. Then go get trained. I'm afraid because I've never done it before. Then go do it. And I know that sounds so simplistic, and you're thinking, Tammy, what the hell kind of advice is that? Just go do it? Hey, listen, there's a reason why Nike uses that as their phrase, okay? Go do it. Just do it. Because if you don't just do it, How the heck are you ever going to get the experience if you don't actually extend yourself and go out there and get the experience that you need to be able to get over your concerns, your fears, your imposter syndrome? You can also do what my coach did with me, which is really brilliant actually, is ask 3 to 5 people in your life. Send them a text just out of the blue. Hey, my coach is, pretend you've got a coach. My coach is telling me that I need to do this exercise. What are 3 things I do really, really well? And what do people say about me when I'm not in the room? Positive things. Try to keep it to the positive and be authentic. And you'll be really surprised what you hear. So you'll get things like, you may get somebody reply back, she's really organized. She's super smart. She takes on challenges with a gusto. Whatever the compliment or the affirmation is that you get, accept it. Be willing to accept it. Take it for what it is and use that, because if people see that in you, then God darn it, you have it. The other thing I would suggest you do is, if you're really struggling with imposter syndrome, is take a look at situations where you may have taken on a challenge that's super similar, or as similar as you can possibly make it. So for example, with me, with my coaching practice, when I started that, I was really nervous that I wasn't going to give people what I wanted them to get out of it, and that I would somehow fail them in some way. And it's absolutely asinine because, and I'm using language, my goodness, I, on many occasions, tried new things and was able to overcome those insecurities. I think to when I started my nursing training when I was 20 years old, and how I overcame those concerns and fears and managed to become a pretty darn good nurse. And then I went to the government. Oh my gosh, now I got a whole new role. They're going to figure out that I don't know anything about policy, or they're going to figure out that I don't know how to do any of this work. And you know what happened? An emergency happened, I stepped up, and you know what? I did really great. The reality is that you need to build on previous experiences to squash that imposter syndrome. It's a lie, right? It's your insecurities, your fears kind of just bubbling up to the surface. It's your upper limit. If you haven't read Gay Hendricks' book, The Big Leap, it was recommended to me by my coach. I read it. It's awesome. Read that book. I have it listed here for your interest. You need to really consider reading that, because it has a lot of great tips about talking about how every human being has an upper limit. When we hit our upper limit, we tend to sabotage ourselves. We tend to tell ourselves that we're incapable or that we're not good enough, and we do things to sabotage ourselves. It's really quite an interesting book and an interesting read. But the reality is, before you get to the point of sabotaging yourself, look at where you were successful in your life. Where did you actually use skills in the past to get you past your fear of change or your fear of this new position? And how did you succeed? How did you get over that fear of moving on and doing something different? Use that. Did you read more? Did you practice? Did you talk to people? Did you get advice? Did you get feedback? Did you adjust and go back and try again? Did you give up and just go somewhere else? Whatever it is you did, try to leverage those tools. The reality is imposter syndrome is just based on fear. And if you can deal with the fear and you can figure out the fear, you can fly. I guess what I'm trying to say is leverage your strengths. Find what it is you're good at. And don't tell me you don't have things you're good at, because that's BS. Every one of us has something we're good at. We all have our skills. Leverage those skills to help you get over your imposter syndrome. In the face of all of that, if you're looking at an opportunity that's facing you that you'd like to accept and you're really nervous and scared about it, get a coach. Honestly. Oh, airplane going by. We're in the clear. Plane has gone by. Wonder where they're going. Gosh, I can't wait for COVID to be done so I can go somewhere too in an airplane. Anyway, so what was I saying? Oh yeah, get a coach. Get someone who can help you move beyond, push yourself past that imposter syndrome, that fear and that concern and that worry that you have. Because we're here to coach you. We're here to encourage you, to be a thought partner, to keep you accountable on your steps. We're here to help you get past that, to push yourself beyond your current comfort zone, because it's tacky when people say, success is at the end of your comfort zone, but the reality is it is. It's at the end of your comfort zone. You need to be willing to get uncomfortable to achieve what it is you want to achieve. It's kind of that plain and simple. I guess the thought I'm just trying to share with you today is simple. Everybody at some point in their life has a bit of imposter syndrome. When you're trying something new, you think, am I good enough? Am I smart enough? And gosh darn it, are people going to like me? And the reality is when you're taking on a new challenge, you probably would not have been selected if you weren't capable of taking it on. Somebody saw something in you that meant you could do it. And if something feels right, like a new direction in your life, then embrace that sensation of, yes, this is right for me. Be willing to accept the discomfort that is at the edge of that comfort zone, because that is what's going to push your growth. And when you feel that imposter syndrome bubble up, it probably means you have a bit of growth to do on your fears, and you really need to learn how to leverage your strengths so that you can get beyond that and just start taking the next logical step so that you can get yourself to the next level that you're looking at getting to. Whether it's as a leader in an organization taking on a new leadership role, or whether you're just trying something out that's different. So thanks again for watching this week's episode of On the Level Leadership. I really do appreciate you being here. If you've watched to the end and you liked what you heard, give me a thumbs up. And if you want to see more content like this on a weekly basis, make sure to subscribe. Thanks again, take care, and we'll see you next week.